What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Honest Tattooer podcast, brought to you by Tattoo Smart, Tattoo Pro, and Steadfast Tattoo Supplies. My name is John Mesa, joined by co-host Matt Truiano.
Hey, how you doing?
And our very special guest, David. Welcome to the podcast.
What's going on, guys?
Thank
you for having me on the platform.
Thanks
I appreciate
for coming.
you.
So, hairline dealer, as we see in the hoodie.
I see.
So let the people know where you're from, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Got it. Again, my name is David Santiago. I am originally from the Bronx, but once the money got a little good, I sought some refuge up to Putnam County. So now I live in the mean streets of Brewster, New York.
Nice.
I do S&P, which is scalp micropigmentation in our world. But for you guys, it's a hair loss tattoo, and I've been doing that for 8 years.
For 8 years.
Whoa.
Wow. So, I feel like 8 years ago is when I started seeing this. So, I feel like you jump into it pretty early.
I did, yeah, and which is crazy because it's not as early as you would think, because there's guys that kind of like brought it to this country that have been doing it for about 13 years. So they were kind of like the original. But like 8 years ago was like when it really hit, and it was like, whoa.
What brought it from the country from where?
From the UK.
Okay.
So in the UK, I mean, they've been doing this for over 20 years now.
So I'll ask, I guess, the first question of like, how does this differ from head tattooing? Just from like overall, just like a cool head tat.
Depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
Me, it doesn't, it's a tattoo, right? I think the thing for us is, since it's it's sold as a solution for hair loss.
Yeah.
The way it's marketed is different. So you'll hear, depending on who you ask,
Yeah.
you know, this is not a traditional tattoo. And the reason for that is because when you, even now, right, when I'm talking with a client, right, I'm doing a consultation, if once they hear tattoo, the first thing they assume is like, oh, wait a minute, like I'm gonna get like something heavily saturated. Like, how is that gonna possibly look like hair? Right?
Yeah.
So it depends, you know, who you ask. But the reality of it, me knowing what I know now, it's no different than what you guys would call dot work.
Right.
Literally, that's what it is. It's just we use different dilutions, but in your community, it's a gray wash to try to achieve the same contrast of whatever the client has remaining, you know, on their scalp.
So you're not using any different ink than like a tattooer is using? Because like I've heard of like, you know, like when you think about like cosmetic inks, you know, like there's the brands, now there's like cosmetic inks, cosmetic specific needles. Is that all like just marketing, like sweet marketing, or is it?
100%. And it took some time to be able to like, you know, bust those myths, right? It took some time and a couple of tattoo shows to get called out and embarrassed, where you got like guys are asking, if you don't mind me asking, like, what kind of ink are you using for the head? So already, like the way I was conditioned when I got into the industry, it was like, well, it's not ink, it's pigment, because what we use is totally different. Again, I don't know. I'm not a traditional tattooer, so I'm just like, okay, these are the rules.
So where does your background come from?
So by trade, I'm a barber. I'm a licensed master barber, and then I went into doing wigs. You know, hair club for men.
Yeah.
So I started doing the wigs. So that was like my introduction to the hair loss industry. Then my hairline started receding, and I was like, I'm not wearing one of these wigs.
I'll sell it to you, but I'm not wearing it.
I'll glue it on your head. I will not. And I would do it depending on the manufacturers of the wigs that I would like. So I would test them out on myself, and I would be like, absolutely not happening.
No way.
So like in the midst of just researching what I could do for my receding hairline, and as a barber, let me tell you, I gave everybody a hard time, because I would be like, don't save it, shave it. But now it's like, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, oh shit. Like, so I came across scalp micropigmentation. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is like a tattoo. And I was like, oh, and when it's done, it gives like a Caesar, like a buzz cut. I was like, this is perfect.
Like I can own this.
This is my style. Literally all I've rocked my entire life. So I started checking to see if there was anyone close, you know, in the area. I found someone in Connecticut. They did like one session. And as soon as I saw myself, and I was just like, I don't know how to explain it, man, but I was just like feeling myself. Cause like the hair loss was really kicking my ass. Like it really was. Like I was starting to build this like complex. And the hat, I was wearing them because I wanted to hide it.
Yeah.
Now it's because like I want someone to call me out and be like, take off your hat. You don't got no hair. It's like, yes, I do. So as soon as I saw like what that did for me, and then being a barber, like two things happened. One, I was just like, oh, the money light went on and I was like, oh, I could implement this. And then the other one was like, wow, this really made me feel good. Like, I want to be like, this might be my calling. I mean, so let me give it a shot.
As a barber, you're like first in line to be like, my guy, that's hairline is going way back.
Yeah. So that, and then when I saw that, so I knew too. So I was like, there's definitely a market for it, because aside from doing the wigs, I was also doing hair enhancements already. So I had like all these little tricks where I was spraying like hair fibers and crushed hair on like some of my clients that were experiencing a little receding. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, now I just have another tool, like another service to offer, but this one goes from, you know, the traditional enhancement is like $20, $30. Mm-hmm. This one we're talking about, you know, $2,500, $3,500. So I'm like, okay, that chair is going to be, you know, turning and burning.
Yeah. So do you still cut, or you
no, those days are over. The only cutting that I do now is when client comes in and he's, you know, he's been combing, he's let his hair grow. He had his hair growing for 4 years just so he could comb it over. And we call it the big chop. That's the only time I cut. Like I don't do any barbering outside of that.
Cool. That must be so nerve wracking if you've been like doing a comb over for so many years and you're like, oh my God, it's like my shield's about to go away.
I wish like my lawyer was like, you can't use it, because I have, you know, cameras in the room. If I could take the footage of those conversations, dude, the reality show that I'd have, it'd be a hit.
Just put it in your release form.
Because so we have some of them. We started doing release form.
Like you're giving away your rights to all of this content.
We started doing like a social media thing, and I give them like a discount. But usually when it comes to that part, like the story behind the comb over or like why they're there, it's like, bro, but this is the juicy one, bro. Like, you know, you got to tell me. Like, I had a guy tell me he was in, what's the casino place in Jersey?
Atlantic City?
Atlantic City. And he's an older gentleman. And he's like, I'm walking with this young girl. She's bad. And he was combing the back of the hair up. This guy had it. It was flawless. So as a barber, I couldn't even tell. Wow. So he's like, I spray it so it looks nice, you know, a little pump up in the front. And he goes, I'm walking, holding her hand, and I feel this gust of wind. And I can feel
it ripping
like,
off his.
He's like, I could feel the adhesive, like the and come back down. And he's like, so I'm looking at her and she's looking at me, and she's such a nice girl that she doesn't want to embarrass me, but her face is like, what the fuck did I just see? And when he's telling me this, right, you don't know when it's time to like laugh with them, or if you're just like, I hear you, brother. Listen, you're amongst bald men, right? And you kind of want to like make them feel good. And then they start smiling and they're like, yo, she never called me ever again. And I'm like, that's fucked up, man. And he's like, well, now I'm here, man. Just take this shit off, man.
Oh,
like,
man.
It let me down. I've been doing this for like 7-8 years. Like the stories that I hear are just so crazy. Even some married men that their wives don't even know that they're wearing wigs.
Whoa.
And they're just like, you know what? I'm just going to tell her that I'm just getting a buzz cut. Like I'm tired of the hair. So you hear like some wild, like bald dudes like go above and beyond to try to.
Yeah, there's the always wear a hat guys.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I'm wearing a hat forever, dude. They're like, bro, we're going to sleep. Why are you wearing a hat?
Yeah.
Like, nah, after you're out. Then they'll take it off, or maybe never.
And when you think you've heard it all, you have a story just like that. Like I've had married women that they'll come in with their husband and be like, he wears his hat to bed.
Yeah.
And you don't think like.
I've seen reality shows where that goes down. I thought that was like a thing. No, I've seen in reality shows that it's some dude that it's like, he's not taking his hat off for any reason, dude. It's wild.
That's crazy.
You're a slave to your hat.
My name is Jamie Snedeker, and I'm the owner of Southernmost Tattoo. Some of the issues that I ran into before using Tattoo Pro were not having all of my systems in one place. I knew I needed something different than what I was using, so I started searching for tattoo-specific software and ran into Tattoo Pro. Set up a consult, and within a day, they contacted me, and within a week, I was set up. scheduling, release forms, payroll, artist schedule, client information, and now it's all in one place.
Since we started using Tattoo Pro, our workflow has improved dramatically. No more scheduling mishaps, and our clients love the easy online booking. It's literally helped us grow the business.
With Tattoo Pro, we've doubled our revenue in the last year, and we've increased our staff by 4 artists. If you're considering using Tattoo Pro, it's a no-brainer. It'll give you more time to do the things that you love, such as tattooing and running your business. Call and set up a demo today. You won't regret it.
I don't think you were here when I was having this conversation, but I was talking to, I don't remember who it was, but we were saying, like, you ever see the videos of like those guys who just haven't shaved in probably years, and you've never seen them before, but now you just see a video of this guy and he's just gnarly looking, and then he shaves and you're like, whoa, this guy looks so much better without his beard.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's the same reaction that people like see these guys with the comb overs, right? And like, oh, this guy looks so much better just having a bald
Just
head.
a bald head.
But they don't realize that.
They don't realize it. I feel like, do you remember like the Uncle Rico, right? In Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
So like the idea is like most guys will want to keep the haircut that was like in their stage of life where it was like where they were like the most stoked or happiest, or they were like most popular or whatever. They want to hold on to that haircut. So as time passes, they want to hold on to that haircut, but the haircut don't want to hold on to you. That thing's going, dude. like it's gone away.
Yeah, we call that their stud cut. That's the cut, like when they were at their prime.
At their
they
prime.
were ranking them in, and they just want to hold on to.
They want to hold on to that moment,
buddy. You literally have 4 strands of hair.
Just cut it loose.
You gotta get rid of it,
man. So how long does it normally take for someone to get their head done?
So it depends on the severity of hair loss, obviously. So let's say let's go with what the common bald pattern that we know, right? You know, kind of gives you like that monk pattern. We consider that, and it's in the hair loss industry, is a Norwood 7. That's like the most severe hair loss.
Where does that name come from?
The Norwood 7. Some doctor surgeon,
Dr. Norwood,
because they have the Norwood scale for the man, and I think it's called the Fitzpatrick for the woman.
Oh, so
which I should know this,
maybe.
But I don't do the ladies anymore. Just men. So yeah, it goes from 1 to 7. That's how we determine the hair loss. That'll take me like about 2.5, 3 hours each session. So, and it takes 3 sessions to usually complete to get the look that we are going for. Would you say the look that you're going for is to have a nice, like smoothly, evenly balanced kind of tone on the head? Right. So like, for example, and it also depends too, the hairline, right? Culturally, where they're coming from. I'm from the South Bronx. I'm Puerto Rican, right? We like the nice,
you want a nice
sharp
shaped
hairline, right? But the two factors. One, you want it to look seamless and natural. So you don't want it to like, oh, that's definitely a tattoo on your head.
Yeah.
But you also want to balance it with the contrast that you already have with the remaining hair. So you have to be able to do the both.
Yeah.
And then depending on who you're doing it with, right? So you have some Caucasian men that they're like, well, I'm not walking out of here looking like, I was in the South Bronx. Like I'm 53 years old. I'm a car salesman.
Bro, I can have a sharp edge.
Right, like a Sharpie. And like, so they want some like slight recession. So you got to be able to do that. And then also kind of make it look like a gradient. So you got to kind of like fade it out. So it essentially, the appearance you want to give is just like, I have a full head of hair, but you know what? I like the clean look. So I'm just buzzing it down.
True.
When you do a second session, are you trying to go over every single dot that you made in the first one?
I don't know. Ideally, on the first session, you want each dot to like sit nicely. The only time I do that is if it just fades out too much. Because if you add too much to it, as you know, it'll like migrate, right? It'll blow out. So as each session goes on, you're essentially just filling in the spaces in between.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like in the dot work tattoo, right? When you guys are creating the grade, and I say you guys as just traditional tattooers, it's like kind of clustered on and the darker to lighter. Like we use the same tone throughout the entire scalp and then go dark on the next sessions, but we don't hit the same impressions.
You're just getting a little closer with your dots.
Correct. So exactly, closing the space, hence giving us a little more density.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Are you doing dot by dot, or are you just turning your machine down and just kind of?
No, I wish. Let me tell you, we've had some like tattooers that have like, oh, I can do that, and they do the stippling, and it's just like it just doesn't give, like, you don't have the kind of control that's really necessary to give it.
I would agree.
That look.
Yeah.
Like there, even with when I'm doing a tattoo and I'm doing stippling, I can do a little bit of whipping for a little bit, but then when you want to get a nice balanced like area, you have to go in and kind of fill in the spots like strategically, like it's right there, so it has enough of like that consistent, evenly spaced negative space in between everything.
Yeah, because you'll end up seeing sometimes you just create the exact same spacing, like as your, whip shading. It's whip shading, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to jack up your guys' lingo either,
Yeah.
And you'll see like many happen. These are like phenomenal, like tattooers, and they just will go, and they'll come to the office and they'll see me doing. They're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, you're doing that individual?" Yeah, I don't want to learn this. They're like, absolutely not.
So do you also teach people how to do it?
I do, yes. I do like one-on-ones. I don't do like the traditional trainings. They have like 3-day trainings. I don't believe in 3 days you're ready to just take someone's scalp and go, hey man, what hairline you want?
Bro.
I got you, bro. Just like, an apprentice, right?
Yeah.
Weeks, months, years before you touch skin. So I like to deal with people that have already underwent like some sort of training, maybe got like 10, 15 clients under their belt where they're a little easier to kind of like, they haven't established these nasty habits yet that are going to be hard to break. Or traditional like tattooers, which you guys are like, you guys get it. Like,
we already know the aspect of tattooing part of it.
You understand the
like,
concept. Now it's just like, oh, okay, we're doing individual. Oh, game over. Got it.
So would it be an apprenticeship that people go through to learn how to do this?
No.
So how do they learn?
So right now, and I'm not speaking for me, this is like what's the industry is offering right now is common training is a 3 or 4 day training. You come in, first day, you learn like theory combination of, hair loss, familiarizing yourself with the different patterns, the verbiage, some scalp conditions. Second day, you're moving on to practical applications, how to make dots with a marker, right? Understanding the concept, what it should look like. Third day, now you're moving on to like a mannequin head. And then the fourth day, you have a model come in and you start putting dots on his head. And the trainer, right, the lead trainer is responsible for finalizing it.
How do they find these models? Are people just like me? I'm down.
Essentially, yeah. That's literally what you, and like I said, there's a saying you guys obviously don't know because you have an amazing head of hair, but it's like, you can sell a bald man anything. You know what I mean?
He's like, tell me whatever you can do to fix this. I'm down.
And it depends. Like some of these, like they're hurting. So they're like, wait, you could make me look like that? How much does this cost? Oh, it's $3,500. Oh, if I let these guys do it and you're gonna finish it, you're gonna do it for half price or free.
You're like, what?
Sign me up, bro.
Oh man.
And listen, you guys know, 3 days, there's no control.
No.
The anxiety of like, I'm gonna botch this dude, and then it's like ying, those dots are hitting the skull. So like it's not an effective
method of teaching this complex,
right? And it's strange because it's been like that for so long, but I think it's now that the industry where like there's so many bad artists and everyone's just reverting back to that common denominator. It's like, shit, like we messed up with this 3-day training and gave Matt the certificate and was just like, hey bro, congratulations, you're a Scalp micropigmentation artist. You are now equipped to start your own paramedical hair loss tattoo studio.
Is that the same kind of training that other cosmetic tattooers go through? Like just 3 days?
For the most part, it depends.
I think like people that do
it's not long. Like PMU, you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
like permanent makeup.
Permanent makeup.
Yeah, some of them have 1 day courses. There's someone in Brooklyn doing a 1 day scalp micropigmentation training, and this dude.
And these are for people who are just like fresh, never touched a machine.
Have no idea what the machine even
never touched a machine
feels like.
In their life.
Nothing. And 1 day they're getting certified and being told, hey, congratulations, you've made it. Go out there, do amazing things, save lives. And 10, 20 students, and they're probably charging like about $2,500, $3,000.
Wow.
And you have this whole room full of stay-at-home moms who are now looking for like, hey, this is my second career, because they're being sold on the, hey, this is a 6-figure, you know, you can make up to 6 figures here because we're bumping these things, you know, 2,500, 3,500. So you're going to make that easily. So now everyone's like, oh, okay, I got a $3,000 or $5,000 investment and 2 clients in, I get my return on investment and I can still go. So like, it's just quick money.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Steadfast Tattoo Supply, owned and operated by professional working tattoo artist Frankie Porcelli, demanding top-performing materials, from the highest quality pigments and medical supplies to tailor-made needles and cartridges with true line weights. Steadfast also specializes in custom machines built from scratch in-house and offers professional or group machine building seminars. Steadfast does everything to keep you and your clients covered. Steadfast, supplies that work as hard as you do.
I don't want to say that the industry's saturated, right? We could all say it's saturated because there's a lot of, but there's not a lot of good artists that are doing this. But the shit is, now when you have someone who's thinking about doing this and they're going on Google, the bad work outweighs the good work. So they're looking at this and going,
oh, I don't want to do that.
Nah, maybe
They're
not.
just scared to kind of.
Yeah, like this is a legit, like a traditional tattoo. That does not look like hair. And
What kind of machine are you using?
I'm using the S&P Power One Bishop, the 4.2 stroke, which would be a packer, the same, you know, the 4.2 packer if it was for traditional tattoo.
So why is it called S&P?
What makes it different?
So the different, what they did with the S&P version is they gave it a stainless steel spine because that supposedly reduces the vibration even more.
Okay.
So it kind of just helps us be a little more,
I mean, we like that too. We want a machine.
It's funny, and I'm glad you brought it up because when I was talking to the guy behind like the whole design, like I'm actually really cool with him, and I was like, bro, once like traditional tattooers find out about this, because like they do dot work, like they want that kind of control as well. Like, you don't think they're gonna be like, yo, what the fuck, man? Like, why we don't get the because your guys is what is it, a copper or something? What kind of aluminum?
For the Bishop?
I have no idea.
Oh, you guys don't use? Is it aluminum?
It's aluminum, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So the stain and yours is the packer, the traditional tattoo version is slightly heavier as well.
Okay. You would like a light machine?
I like machines, but I like a little bit of weight towards the front.
It's still, it still does have, I don't, maybe you guys, maybe it's a machine like differentiation, if I pronounce that correctly, that you guys would understand it, like notice it, because you guys, the volume that you're doing and the hours that you're putting, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is lighter. Like for me, I don't really.
So you said it's about 2 to 3 hours for level 7, right?
No, it's 7.
How many of those are you doing a week, a month, a day?
I only allow myself to do 2 now because I've gotten to the point. I was doing 3.
3 a week?
3 a day.
3 a day.
And then like you just start going dot blind, bro. Like after a while, like you just, that's me. Like my eyes could not.
3 a day, you're making like 10 G's a day.
Sometimes.
It's like, damn.
Sometimes.
Whoa, we're in the wrong side of the industry.
Business, bro.
But a lot of tattooers that are getting hip to this are now transitioning, especially on the West Coast. They're like, whoa, hold on a second. Like I don't have to worry about someone coming up to me and telling me like, hey, you know, can you put this watch on the back of my hand? It's just literally, I need to learn hairlines and match my dot work to the follicle structure that they already have.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make this much. Like there's really no space for you guys to like tap into like that creativity that you have. And sometimes you don't want to, because now you're like, oh, I wanted to make it look like this. No, make the tail look. No, buddy, you get 3 hairlines. You get a sharp, receding, or you want like a hybrid. Okay,
Yeah.
let's rock and roll.
You still haven't had like somebody that's like, yo, I want that like that part right here. Like,
Listen, I've
feel
done
like
it.
you've had to.
I've done it. I've done it because they know my background. So they know, they was like, this dude is a barber by trade. So
Yeah.
if anyone's going to give me that
extra
part
kind
on
of,
the
I want a
head,
sick part right here.
I've had that. And sometimes you got to talk them out of it, because believe it or not, it's not the younger crowd that's coming in for that.
Yeah.
There's some dude that's having a midlife crisis in the middle of a divorce.
He's like, back in the day, I used to look so fly with that.
And they'll show you, they'll be like, yo, bro, this is my high school picture. And I'm like, sir, you're fucking 49. You can't.
You're far from high school, my
Yeah,
guy.
the last one that came in was 53. All right. And he already had he had one session. It was very light. The person he went to didn't really know what he was doing. Didn't feel comfortable. He was like, you a barber, bro. Like, can you make this? And I was like, brother, you should just fill it in.
Yeah.
You know, you're 53 years old. At some point, you got to have something that's a little age appropriate.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I didn't feel good about it. So on his consent form, I kind of felt like, you know what, let me protect myself. And I just wrote up like a quick little addendum.
amendment to, yeah.
Right. So where it was kind of like, you know, I advised him against it because it wasn't going to look about. And I gave it to him. This guy was happy as shit. 2 weeks later, we're on vacation in Florida, and he's like, hey, man,
I want to fill it in.
I don't like this. It looks too sharp. Like, I want to fill it in. I want to fix it. And it's like, bro, literally, like, I can't. You need laser. Like, there's no saving that.
You can't fill it in afterwards?
You can, but he wanted to, like, make it look more natural. So on top of, I left out a little.
So he didn't want like the edge anymore. He wanted to have kind of like the sluttle.
Right, but what he did was like, pretty much, there's only so far down you can go with the hairline before it ends up on your frown lines.
Right.
And if it's on your frown lines, right, as you start talking, and depending on how animated you are, that shit starts moving.
Oh, shit.
So if you think you had an issue with people looking at your balding head, now they're going to look at you and go like, why the fuck is this so guy's hairline like going like this? And I told him, I was like, listen, it's already pretty low. If we black this out, not a blackout, but you know, we darken it. I can't go back and like now start adding a gradient to it. Like this is it. And he was sold on it. 2 weeks later, I was like, I can't do it. Like, you need laser. And then we could start all over. And I don't know if you know what laser feels like, but it's going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it'll be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I feel like for smaller dots like that, it wouldn't be, like, it would suck, but it would be fairly quick. I feel like it would maybe like 2 or 3 sessions on your head.
Most, depending on, if you get it done, let's say you have correct S&P, meaning like it's not migrated, right? You didn't go too deep into the skin. Yes. But the majority of those dudes that are receiving the good S&P, for the most part, they stay with it. So in his case, okay, maybe 3 sessions, but the majority that are getting laser is because it's way too deep. It's saturated. The dots literally look like the dots at the top of the head of like a Ken doll. So like these guys are doing at minimum 6 to 10 sessions to get that off. Yeah. And I mean, I have video from like 2 weeks ago. I went with one of my clients. Like, I've been documenting this guy's whole thing. And for 20 minutes, I could see this guy, and I like felt bad to see another man going through like that kind of excruciating pain and trying to like man up. And he's like, this shit is absolutely horrible.
So what happened with this guy? Did he get the laser?
He did. So what happened was he came to me. I gave him a quote. He was like, that's too much. And I was just like, all right, it's my price, bro. Like, that's my price.
That's it, go.
He found someone who did it $2,500 cheaper, which I told him that was already the red flag.
Yeah.
You can't just go $3,500 and then someone tells you $1,000 and you're like, this is a good deal.
That has to be a good deal for a reason.
So the guy went in and he like super saturated on, and he was only looking to get the crown filled in. And when he came in, I kind of felt bad. Like, you know, I felt like I kind of built that rapport with him. And I told him, I was like, brother, like, I'm not trying to get you even more pissed off now, but you have like a permanent yarmulke now.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, he has a little yarmulke now.
You know, like,
Dang.
That's what you have. And he was like, so what can you do? I was like, absolutely nothing. Like, can I go in there and fill it in and balance it out? Absolutely, I can. But it's going to heal like shit. Like, you're losing hair. At some point, you're going to buzz your whole hair down. And this is going to look horrible. So, like, I already know, like, I work knowing what it's going to look like in 5 years. Exactly. And I learned that because of guys like you know? So, like, that's how I go into it. So,
I mean, I wish some tattooers would think like that about their tattoos. Like, just think about how it's going to look like later.
Yeah, so now he's doing laser, and I went with him because I sent him to the same 2 places. If they're in the city, I send them over down to, you know, the removery guys, or if up by me, I'm sorry, not to Inkless Laser. And then if they're up by me, I have like a removery that they're familiar with how to remove the SMP. And I went with him because I told him, I was like, dude, this is gonna hurt. And I was like, but can I go with you to like, can I document this so I can put content out there as to like, guys, you got to stop with this trying to get cheap work. Because
have you had people that have, because man, for one, when my son was very young, man, I was like either under so much stress that I started losing like part of my beard. Like, and I had like a big gap in my beard. I felt so self-conscious. I imagine that's what it feels like if you're like losing your hair. But I was like, dude, I was so self-conscious that I was like shaving every day because I hated seeing the patch. Even if I had stubble, like you could see it. Has anybody asked you to do the same, but like maybe facial, like to have like a...
Yeah, we call that like beard micropigmentation. That's what it's been like.
Yeah.
I've done 2 of them. I did it knowing that it wasn't gonna come out the best because I know the face secretes different kinds of oils.
Yeah.
So to me, I was already thinking, I was like, this is the, you know, these impressions are gonna expand even more than, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take it like a challenge. I did it with like a 15 millimeter needle, like one of the finest ones that I could find. And I filled it in and it looked good. And then you see it like 6 months later and they're like, oh, this looks great. You know, because some guys, they really like that defined look. But for me, it was like,
too harsh.
I don't, as a barber, I could appreciate it. But I'm like, as a barber, I also know like, hey, you could just wash that off. But this is like, bro, like
that's permanent.
You're going to have this beard for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And when you don't like it, now you have to do laser. And that shit hurts, man. Like, I know I got 10 zaps on my head just so I can tell them this is what it feels like. And I always tell guys, like, listen, have you ever been plucked at the tip of your penis? I haven't, but I'm pretty sure
it's like a pow.
That's what it feels like, because I felt it there and on my small toe. And I was like, all right, we're done. Like, that's it.
I had a buddy a while ago, same situation as you. He had a little patch of hair on his beard that wouldn't grow through, but he kept a stubble. And he asked me, can you just do a couple of dots, just fill in the stubble? I'm like, I mean, I could, but what happens one day when you want to shave clean?
Yeah.
You're just going to have a couple of dots on your face?
Birthmark. You'll have a birthmark.
Like, oh, yeah.
Trust me, dude. Like, well, during that time, I even thought about it, but I was like, I was like, but what if I don't want that anymore?
Yeah.
If I want to be clean shaven, then I'm going to have this weird, like, birthmark looking thing on my face of hair. It's like, it's going to be so super weird.
It is absolutely a thing. They've had dudes that come and do like the stubble chest hairs. Yeah.
Stubble chest hair.
I would that's, you know, times are not that rough right now to do that. But like, listen, man, some dudes are taking the self-care movement to a whole other level. And they're like, I want chest hair, man. I want to look like Burt Reynolds at some point, you know?
So something that you brought up before made me think. So you're matching the dots that you make with the hair that they already have still growing on their head, right?
Right, yeah. So I'm trying to, the diameter of their existing follicle or the shaft of their hair, I try to match. The goal is for all of us to try and match that so that it's a seamless transition, but that's also very tricky.
And the color too, obviously.
And the contrast, yes, and the color, yeah.
Do you go, let's say somebody has like some hair still, do you try to go into the existing hairline to kind of blend in your dots with their hair so it kind of just goes into it, or there's no harsh stop? It's kind of like you go deep into it so it has a good blend of overlap, right?
Right. So I'll go in maybe like about 1.5 inches, sometimes 2 inches, especially if it's someone that they're like in the beginning phases of their male pattern baldness. So it's kind of like, all right, I can do this, but just know you're probably going to experience some more hair loss, so that they don't have that abrupt stop. And it kind of like, it's just like a seamless transition into their regular hair. I'll do that. I'll blend into it. Yeah.
Do you shave their head totally clean first before you do this, or do you leave the hair on there?
Yeah, no. So I don't do that. We consider that in our world a density fill. Like if you like, say if someone like you was experiencing some thinning and you wanted, we consider that a density. I don't do that because clients are never 100% satisfied, because for me to achieve the color that you want, I got to go too dark, and we already know how that's going to heal. It's not going to be nice. And if you start going darker than what you have to, right, it starts healing cool. And then at some point when you shave your head, you have a blue head. So
it's like a guy wanting like a permanent fade, right? Like, they're like, oh dude, I have my hair, but I want to be able to like shave it to a 1 and it looks like it's a nice gradient, right?
Yeah. For me, the most part, everyone knows when they come into me is like, this is it. You're getting a buzz cut. You're getting a 5 o'clock shadow look, and then we determine what kind of hairline you want. That's all I'm taking. In the beginning, I was experimenting, to see like, all right, what do I like? I was doing density fills, and guys were coming back for like, I got like a wave of like 5 years, and they were coming back for like touch-ups, and I was looking at it and I was like, this don't look good.
This don't look good for the long term.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like how this looks. So I would tell them like, I'm not going to do a density fill on you, man. And then I just came to the conclusion. I was like, I'm just not going to do it because I got to go, it's too saturated and it's not healing good.
No, that's smart. It's smart. You shouldn't, as any service provider of it, you should know when to be like, you know what? That doesn't work long term. I need to stop doing that.
And the shit is, they'll find someone that knows if they give them another session, it's going to look bad. But some of these guys, their mentality, and listen, as a business person and a hustler, I get it, where they're like, well, I'm not leaving any money on the table. But for me, like, I'm playing the long game. This is like, at some point, this is all going to heal. And they're going to be like, this guy ruined my shit and whatever your reviews, X, Y, Z. So I don't touch them.
Shit. Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, that is smart. Man, where, you said the guys started out in the UK. How did they go from, or if you know this, how did they go from starting this practice to then making it into, because I feel like there's a lot of branding here,
For sure.
There's a lot of branding, and to create, like, they created an industry from it. Do you know anything about like the guys that kind of started this?
I do actually. Like the gentleman that we call like the godfather of scalp micropigmentation happens to be a really good friend of mine. His name is Paul, which he'll be ecstatic that I shot him out. So he was a traditional tattooer, and he came into this business that was called His Hair Clinic. And they were coming up with like different ways to kind of like tattoo hair. So I think they were doing like strokes, hair strokes and stuff like that. So he was kind of like, I think I have a more effective approach to this where we can do like some dots. So he started exploring, all right, let's do it all in one session. And then was like, oh, this didn't heal good, a lot of migration. And he developed the 3-step process and called it scalp micropigmentation.
So he kind of developed the system.
Exactly. He's like, that's his, and he's out in the UK. And then that brand built into like essentially being like the first McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right. And then they realized, holy shit, we got 90 million balding men statistically like in this country. And now, they trained some other ones, and they came over here and brought the same process, called it scalp micropigmentation. And then it just started booming.
Damn, that's wild, dude. That's wild. Identify a problem, figure out an easy way to just target those people and help them out, and people can leave happy. That's great.
Yeah, so I mean, it was surprising to me too when I found out, because I was like, who the hell decided, like, yo, bro, especially as a barber who does enhancements, like, you think we're armed with every possible way to cure some sort of balding for a man, and then it's just like tattoos. But that's why when I saw it, like, for me, I was like, this is going to be a game changer. And this was before like everyone was offering it. So like I knew, I was like, oh, it's game over. And like my first month I had 20 clients and I was like, oh, I'm onto something. Like,
were these clients of yours as a barber first, and then
it was a combination. Yeah. So I did a Facebook announcement. I said, I'm taking the first 10 clients, and I was very transparent with them. Listen, this is a new technique, a new skill that I'm learning. I'm going to offer it for $500. There's a chance I might mess up your head, but I'm going to do the right thing. If I have to pay for your laser, I'll pay for it. And I took my time. Like, I didn't just get the certificate and do that. Like, I knew. I was like, bro, like, this is wild. Like, tattooers don't let you touch skin for weeks, months, sometimes years. So, like, I just was practicing on thin skin until I got the concept of what I thought I'm ready to roll. And then that's what I did. I did 10. And then with those 10, it was just like word of mouth after that. So then it was like, okay, now I have no choice but to like make sure I'm doing this correctly. Nice. And then get other training and then just reaching out to other tattooers, kind of like what I talk about now on my podcast. You know, I was just reaching out to other tattooers. This is what I'm doing. Some of them are like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not, you ain't no fucking tattoo artist, bro. And I was just like, okay, all right, I'll find someone that's willing to like, you know, throw me some gems.
Yeah.
If you're a tattoo artist who uses an iPad, you're gonna wanna watch this. Since 2016, Tattoo Smart has been curating an incredible collection of digital flash. We work with the best artists in every style to make reference material that you can use to save time and make your clients happy. Now's your chance to fill your iPad with Tattoo Smart's digital tools. So make sure you log in at tattoosmart.com and fill your cart with our best-selling flash, toolkits, and 3D body parts.
So you don't consider yourself a tattoo artist, even though you consider what you're doing tattoos?
Correct.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, so I'm artistically inclined. Mm-hmm. Before I became a barber, like I wanted to be a cartoonist. That was, you know, I went to art school and all that. But a tattooer, like you guys are doing that at a totally different capacity, right? Like I'm literally able to offer you 3 different hairlines. You guys, right? A traditional tattooer, I can bring you a design and you could offer me 30 different variations of how you can accomplish that. I feel like I'd be playing myself to try to put myself, like be a contestant in the ring with you guys, because it's a small piece of what you guys doing.
As far as the 3 hairlines, I'm assuming that the 3 hairlines are like, you know, having like a sharp edge, the kind of like gradient, kind of more natural look. What's the third one?
So it's a hybrid. It's called like a hybrid hairline. So it goes straight still, and the difference is it's not as sharp. So, and the gradient is not as smooth. The transition is not as smooth. Okay. So mine would be like a hybrid.
Yeah.
Like it's defined, but it's not like Sharpie defined.
Right. Yeah. Like, it looks very natural. It looks like you got, like, if you talking about haircuts, it looked like you got your hair buzzed and
that was it.
And no, but like you did it maybe like a couple of days ago. So it's like starting to slowly grow back. It looks like it's in that stage.
Right. And so and even mine it's off too. So like intentionally, like when my friend did mine, I was like, do me a favor, bring like one side, maybe like about 1/4 of an inch down. Cause I don't want no one saying like, that's fake, it looks too perfect.
So it looks too perfect.
Right. So now it's just like, Dave, why don't you grow your hair? I was like, I don't fucking want to.
Yeah.
I don't tell them I can't. I was just like, I don't want to. And then them knowing my military background, to them it's just like, oh, well, you're a Marine. You guys don't like having hair anyway. I go, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
No, man, dude, your hair looks great.
It does.
Thank you.
Now, when you do this, do you draw on like the shape with the marker first?
I do,
you just do like the perimeter of it?
Yes. So as a barber, and having enhancements, I used to spray hair fibers to fill it in. Yeah. So what I did was, and I'm not the inventor of it, it's just for me, it made sense. So if a bald man comes to me, what I tell him is, I was like, let me do a hairline simulation on you, man. So I spray these hair fibers on them and it kind of gives them the look of like SMP.
Yeah.
And then I, carve the hairline out and I flip them around and that's where they usually bug out. Like, oh shit. And I'm like, do you like this hairline? And they're like, yeah. So then I'll take a white, like a eyeliner. I map it out. I dust off the rest and then I rock and roll. Yeah, and that's pretty much. But yes, I'll have them show me pictures, like, show me when you did have a hairline,
Yeah.
Is this the one you want? Because some people just naturally have like pretty recessed hairlines. So I tell them, I'm like, brother, this is like your boob job, bro. Like if you want, like if you want that hairline to come down like another inch, it doesn't have to be as recessed as it naturally was. So I'll just map it out on them, balance it out. I measure it. I got a caliper and all that. It gets a little intense, to just keep it symmetrical. Cause it's like, I mean, not saying that it's different from a shitty tattoo, but it's like, bro, like this is literally the first thing you see. It's either your teeth or your hairline. You know what I mean? So like you got to make sure it's on there. Like, right.
Are you eyeballing it, or is there any kind of like math and science going behind it?
Yeah, you never seen like a video of a girl getting the measurements for
The strings.
yeah, a string here with like all these lines there just to figure out what the
I don't do that. I know there's some artists that they take it to that level, but again, I've done hundreds and thousands of hairlines. So like I just have this gift that I can look at it and I can see the symmetry, or I can tell them like, I already know the hairline that's gonna look good for you. So I it. Mm-hmm. It's no different than if I had a machine and I was just etching it.
That's because you're a good barber. So you can kind of just see. I feel like, dude, I've gotten bad haircuts and I'm like, dude, internally going like, oh my God, that's so off.
Like, damn, he made my hairline look like a Richter scale.
And then I don't want to say anything because then I know he's going to butcher it even worse, right? If you tell a bad barber, they can't recognize that it's already off.
Yeah, they'll push your shit back.
Then they're going to push this one back and then the other one back. And before you know, you're like, right here, you just leave it alone. You're like,
just come back.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Boom.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, you go back, you fix that shit at home yourself.
Yep.
Just like
come back next week. Appreciate you. But I do it like that now. If I'm teaching someone else that has absolutely no idea how to establish the hairline, then now you got to really break it down, like the fundamentals, because some people don't even know the face is broken into thirds and why it's a forehead. So you got to like show them, here's like the happy medium, have them put their 4 fingers there, start there. And now you start taking measurements like your peaks. For example, most people don't know that your profiles, they're always pretty much at a 45-degree angle, and they're 2 inches away from like the side of your eye, like where it curves at. Mm-hmm. So like you give them those like basics. All right, this is kind of like just a standard for right now, and then you make your adjustments. So
yeah, like you get a dude that's been used to having a bad lineup his whole life. He's used to getting like the super deep line curve, like super deep curve with the skinny like sideburns.
Yeah.
His whole life, he thinks that looks good, and then you're like, look, that doesn't look good.
Yeah. Those
we're gonna do natural.
The chopsticks, like we left those in '96.
Chopstick sideburns. Dude.
Yeah, so it depends. I mean, I don't get that, and even if I did, I feel like that starts to scare the client because they're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing? Like, what's all these grid coordinates this guy's like putting on my forehead? Like, what's about to happen?"
So you said that some of the people that you've kind of taught are people that already kind of had some background and in art or maybe even tattooing. Would you say that this is something that, let's say if you're a tattoo artist and you are considering going into this, would you say that it's something that artists should look into?
Absolutely. And I know when people in my industry hear this, but I've been saying it for years, I was like, at some point, the traditional tattooers are going to get hip to what's going on and how it's kind of all screwed up. And they're going to go, whoa, wait a minute. Like I can do this. And they should. Like, why would you not want to be able to, like, there's literally over 60 million balding men in this country, statistically. Like, there's room for everyone to have a little bit. And that's the 60 million. Those numbers come from like a balding man who went to a doctor and wanted to do something about it.
So there's
like,
probably a lot of undocumented
like another 40 million that like fucking going to the doctor. I'm just going to shave my head or I'm going to comb it over. And you guys already possess the skills and the capabilities and the understanding of the skin, depth, all of it. It's just understanding the technique of how to execute it. Exactly.
That's like a lot of overlaps in tattooing in a sense where there's like Like there's a tattooer that can do like a gray wash field that's like across a whole back and it's like perfectly smooth. And people are like, how the fuck did they do that, dude? Because it's challenging and you need to know the technique to be able to pull that off. And to be able to like pull that off in a head, especially with the pressure of like, oh man, it's this person's head.
Yeah, like if it doesn't heal good, it's like you're screwed. Your reputation, as fast as they're like, you're the man, like all it takes is just one to go on Reddit, which there's a really big group, like a platform for SMP, and some of these dudes are ruthless.
I bet.
They'll be like, I went to this, and you're done. You're done. Like when I tell you that there's an underground,
is over.
When I tell you there's an underground community of bald men that's
angry bald men.
Angry bald, so it was like the angry Avengers, you know, like these guys is like, hey, go to this guy. He's got the best this. He's got the, and if you screw up, you're done. At least in that community. And then now you just become the local, you know, your local Google ads, Facebook ads are gonna help you. But
dude, it looks so bad. Like I was looking through your page and you have some really funny like posts on there with like people that have really bad.
Oh yeah. There's always someone cheaper. That's what I do. Yeah, I have like
so bad. Like there's people that look like they're going to just a guy with a tattoo machine and be like, yo, I want a hairline. And they're like,
they just mag it in, right?
Just mag it in. Solid, bro. Just
and that happens both ways. You know, some of them are guys that are trained SMP artists and they just don't know any better because when they finish their session, these people are not coming back to do touch up with them because they were already destroyed. So they don't even know what their work looks like 4 or 5 years later. So they can't even identify like, oh my goodness, like I botched the shit out of this guy. They just think like, he didn't come back. It's good.
It's fine.
It held. No, he did 7-8 sessions of laser and then he found someone else. And then there also are some traditional tattooers that are just going, it's just dots. Like I fucking do that. It's dot work. Like I do dot work. I do, what is it? I don't want to, Mandela?
Yeah, like
Mandala tattoo.
Or dot work.
I can do this. And then they go to execute and it's like, nah, bro, like it's not the same. Like
not exactly
the fade is totally different. You know, like it's the same concept. It's just a slightly different execution because with a traditional tattoo, like, right, you want something bold. This form of tattooing, like the whole goal is to not make it look like a tattoo.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
the few heads that I've tattooed, it bled like all hell. Does what you're doing bleed?
No. The only time I'll experience like slight, and it's very little because since we're doing individual impressions, so you'll see just like a little bit like come out, is usually on the side profiles, you know, when you get into like the temple area, because that's the most uncomfortable area. But the client's also like very tense. So you got to kind of like, hey bro, like chill out, relax,
don't fight it.
Fucking pass out and wake up, you know, with a Hispanic hairline, you know what I mean? So like, that's the only time, but like, no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Sorry, I thought you.
No. I was gonna.
Yeah,
ask
like you should. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be bleeding out. Because it shouldn't be as traumatic to the skin.
Yeah.
As traditional, you know, tattooing.
Right.
It happens because you know we see it all day, every day. Some of these guys just don't. They don't even understand the depth, the proper depth. So like they're really hitting it, and they're doing it with wider diameter needles because to them is like, well, it's more real estate, so I get it done fast.
Yeah. Patience.
Yeah.
That's the hard part about doing stuff like that. You're gonna be so slow, patient, just little by little, so it's perfect. I was gonna say, have you done scalp micropigmentation on someone, and then later they got like a head tat? Because like I would think that would like a combination. I feel like that's like the perfect fake out, bro. You get the hair done, and then you get like some lettering on the side of your head, right? Now it looks like you got hair and tattoo on your head. It looks all, and then one looks like it's over the other.
Yeah.
I've done the opposite. I've had dudes that are like covered and they were experiencing hair loss and they were like, well, I'm just going to put a crazy dope tattoo on my head. But, you know, they don't really go into like the hairline and stuff. And then they find out, about me, and they'll hit me up and they'll be like, yo, bro, can you make it look like I got a buzz cut? And I'll be like, hell yeah, let's go.
That's great.
Cool.
I love those guys. Matter of fact, if you hear this podcast and you want, I will do it for free. Those are the
Oh shit!
Wow, what a
best for
claim.
me. Yeah.
Because like
I'll take two of you. I'll take two.
You know, I've seen some like full head tattoos, but I didn't necessarily like how they ended, right? Like they just didn't end in a very like
They're too sharp.
Yeah, it's an abrupt, like
abrupt end.
stop to it. Yeah, I love those. I've done 2 of those, and they come out so dope. And even the client, like, you know, they just don't believe, because they're already like, yo, I got this sick dragon, bro. Like, how are you gonna make this look better? It's like, no, it's not. I'm not accenting the tattoo. It's just I'm framing your face now, so it's just gonna make you look a little younger.
Do you do your dots over the tattoo, or do you go around it?
I go around, because I know if I'm hitting especially if the tattoo is like properly executed and is nice and saturated, I'm not gonna hit it, because I know I'm gonna ruin it. So like it is a little more difficult too, because now you're working around somebody else's stuff. So you got to be super sure to not hit it. Does
that not look funny though, to have all the hair, like the dots around the tattoo, but then nothing in the tattoo? Oh no. So let's visualize this. It's a black and white dragon tattoo. Yeah. Everything that has no ink on it, I'm going in there and I'm doing impressions. So it'll completely fill. So it's not only the outside of the tattoo. Like I'm going in the tattoo. If there's no space, like if there's no ink in it, like skin breaks in the design. That's it. If there's skin there, I'll hit some impressions to make it look.
So I wanted to show you guys something that a buddy of ours sent us today, and it's a head tattoo from like the 90s, and it's done by legendary tattooer Dan Higgs, and it was. I just gotta show you guys the picture because it's too much. Check that out. We're gonna put it up on the screen.
Jeez, yeah, man.
So this guy got a full like turtle helmet.
That's gangster.
Like that's wild. And it's funny because like on
what do you call it? A tortosaurus?
Yeah, the Turtlesaurus Rex helmet, dude. The Turtlesaurus Rex helmet. And dude, this is from, oh man, that dude passed away, the dude that has this. But check it out. I'm trying to move forward to see this.
It looks kind of like a stylized turtle shell or something. What's the motif?
Actually, it is from a southern painted turtle. But I call it a tortosaurus helmet.
Tortosaurus live in San Francisco?
Helmet. Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's so like convinced, like, yo, this is badass. I'm badass.
Wow. This is different.
It's just different.
You know what it looks like? It looks like a Dennis
West
Rodman
Coast
cut.
style with
With
color
all
added.
different colors.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
like his hairstyle.
How's the
It
biomechanoid
almost
hand
looks
doing?
like the dude from oh man, I'm gonna screw this up. It's one of the Marvel movies, and he's got like the peak, and he like whistles, and the arrow, like Guardians of the Galaxy,
like
the
one of the
blue
guy-
dude,
yeah,
the
yeah,
blue
yeah,
dude
yeah,
with the
yeah.
Guardian. He's got
I'm
like a
blanking out.
red patch.
I like that
Forgot his
guy.
name.
I'm forgetting his name too. Oh, it's right there. I'm gonna forget it.
On the last
But
guy
see,
that asked this question.
even that, which is, you know, you see that, which is like cool, like to do this, because a lot of clients that are experiencing hair loss, like they don't even know that this exists. So they'll go, you know what, like I have no choice now. I'm gonna go put a crazy tattoo on my head, and you know, to hide, you know, that I'm balding in the crown. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh shit, like.
Well, I was talking to my buddy and showing him, and he showed me that. He was like, would you rather have, you know, like micropigmentation, you know, scalp micropigmentation, or get a head tattoo? And I was like, well, not everybody wants to get a full head tat. You know, if like, if I'm not covered in tattoos, I'm probably not going to go for just a head tat to cover my baldness. I want something else. I want something more subtle.
Yeah,
that doesn't
fits.
draw attention to me.
Yeah.
It fits my lifestyle and my job, maybe, you know?
Not going to come into the 9-to-5 job looking like Anvil from the WWF.
Yeah, dude. Sick head flames. Bam Bam Bigelow, dude. Yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow.
That's
dude.
what I'm
Yeah.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Fucking Bam Bam. Damn, you just took it back to like the real WWF.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the gold letters, right?
The gold
Yeah.
letters. Yo, G, those the best. That was the best. Man, I think you already convinced me to start doing this.
Whenever you ready, brother.
If anybody wants to be my guinea pig, just leave a comment down below.
I'll be next to you to make
I'll make sure
it
that he
gets
watches
done.
over us, and it'll be our first ever.
You're going to do it?
I would try it. I would try it. I would give it a shot. Literally just for the sake that I would try to do such a good job and make somebody so stoked, because I feel like that's so rewarding.
I tell you what. So I'm a retired Marine. I'm a retired police officer, right? I've never had so many men telling me, thank you, you saved my life doing this. It's wild. Like legit, bro. Like, well, like dudes like get emotional and like they'll hug you. These fucking 350-pound NFL reject, and they're like, bro, you don't understand, man. This and you're like, holy shit, like really, bro? Like, damn, like, and I know, I'm pretty sure you guys experience that as well too, right? Because someone will come in,
We've
here's
discovered
a
scars and
picture,
things like that.
scars, or like, this is my dog, XYZ, and they get all emotional. But I'm just saying, from what I've done in my life, to not have had anyone say thank you or you saved my life, but here I am doing like dots on your head and dudes are damn near breaking down, like crying. Like, it is incredibly rewarding and fulfilling.
That's great.
Even like for barbering, when someone comes in and you just bless them with a nice fade and they're like, shit, bro, like I feel like $1 million. It's the same thing. It's just with this one, I can't tell you, hey, I fucked up, come back in 2 weeks. I'll fix it for you. But it's the same. So it's definitely rewarding for sure.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, David, what's the best way that people can get in touch with you, and what's the best way for people to holler at you if they want to come
on social media? I go by Scalp Solutions NY. That's on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and Facebook. Scalp Solutions, or you can send me an email, info@scalpsolutionsny.com, and my website is www.scalpsolutionsny.com.
And you have a podcast also.
I do have a podcast. It's called the Scalp Solutions Podcast. And in that, for that platform, I'm talking to all the artists from around the world. So at some point there was a lot of gatekeeping going on in the community. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to do something to end this. Created the podcast, and it turned into an amazing platform. And now I have people in over 50 countries like tuning in, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's really dope.
And how many people hate you for it?
None.
Yeah.
The only ones right now that are giving a little resistance, but they're not really expressing it because they know what I'm calling out is valid, is just some of the smaller companies that are just looking to kind of like take advantage of the artists with products, bullshit products, rebottling inks, making claims to
this ink specially for this.
Exactly. Which is so funny.
And then what, jacking up the prices for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So like when I first got on, I was told these are the inks that you use, and we don't refer to them as inks, they're pigments because they're made different. They're specific to this, right? I don't know any better. Who am I to contest anyone? But as I said, I'm a retired police officer, and at the time I was doing investigations. So I had connections with crime labs and all that. So I immediately was asking friends. I was like, yo, this is what I'm about to start doing. But like, they're telling me I need to buy this bottle of pigment. This shit's $85 and it's 0.5 milliliters.
It's for like those tiny little bottles like that.
Yeah, or a 1 ounce. And they're telling me this doesn't change colors. It'll never turn blue. It'll never turn green. It'll never migrate. Like, it'll never spread. So I'm like, is this true? And they were looking at me like, bro, like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
if that was true, like, we would all be using this access to it. So what I did was I took from what I thought were the more common brands. So I took like Dynamic, Eternal, and then I even took Talons and I gave it to my friend. And I was like, can you run these against these inks? And like 2 days later, he hits me back and he was like, pretty much all of them came back dynamic, and one of them is Talons. Now, as a artist, as an art, I was like, dude, that's like fucking drawing.
That's
ink.
wild. Yeah.
And they're selling us that. So like I was able to identify that in the very beginning. And then I was just watching the way I navigated to like trying to, you know, just learn my way and fit in. And then when I created the platform, it evolved into something that I would have never imagined. So like now they've kind of like dubbed me like, bro, like you're the voice, bro. Like, so I got to be very careful, right? So now if I'm talking about a ink, I got to make sure I do my due diligence. And I'm not like, hey guys, this ink is great. Cause they're like, yo, Dave said it, man. Like, let's go get it. So now I got to be the good guy all around. And I'm like, bro, I use dynamic, I use eternal. These are my dilutions. I got a 20, 30, 40%. Now I live stream it. I show them all because I don't want these guys to get themselves into any trouble. And a lot of these guys are spending really good money to get their training. And they're kind of like just being thrown out there with subpar, you know, products. And I don't think that's cool.
Sound like a stupid question, but I just thought it was, what about like dudes with like a ginger or like a blonde guy? Like what is there?
It's so crazy because I'm on your podcast, right? And you guys should be asking me the questions. And I came equipped with some questions because it's like, I want to know that because I want, how about this? Can I tell you what they tell us we should do? And does that make sense from
go for it.
Yeah.
When a ginger comes in, we're told instead of, you can use a traditional carbon black. And what we'll do is to neutralize it, we'll add a drop or two of orange to counter the cooling, or we'll use a brown. Now, if the two of you were S&P artists, would you go about it like that? Like your understanding of color theory, what do you think would make the best sense to you? And I'm not challenging you. I'm asking you as an apprentice because I use carbon black and I'll dilute it enough to where it still balances it and it looks good. And again, I'm also shaving the head down. So that gingerness, like that redness is not as strong. It's not as strong.
That's what I'm trying to think about while you're talking in my head is what does it look like when
it's stubble? When it's stubble. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's probably dark, right?
It might be dark.
Yeah.
It is dark.
It is. Even the salt and pepper, like the guys that come in, but I got a full head of gray hair. And I was like, you do, sir, but you can only identify it because your hair is long. Once you buzz it down, it doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
You're seeing more like a little tiny thing sticking out of a follicle. It's like really, really small.
You don't even really see it. It's almost translucent. What you see is the hair shafts that still exist.
Right.
So when you come in with the S&P, you feel it. But these are some of the stuff that they tell us. And to me, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
Black and orange sounds crazy to me, but I feel like I would go into making like a deep red, you know, but making it not like a straight out of the bottle deep red, like maybe mixing a reddish tone with a little bit of black in it until it's like a little bit like a deep dark red.
What's so funny is that last night I was watching a video and it just so happened to be that you're on here talking about this right now. I was watching a video. There's a guy who goes by the name Cynics on YouTube, and he does all these anatomy quick tip videos on YouTube. And the one that I was watching last night was about how to do hair, like how to paint hair, how to draw hair. And his approach to painting hair is to do the face, do all the skin tone, and then he builds up the hair pretty much from a buzz cut to actually adding all the volume to it.
Yeah.
And when it starts as the buzz cut, he takes the color of the skin, he desaturates it, and then makes it just a little bit darker. Mm-hmm. And that's what he uses for his buzz cut.
Stubble.
His stubble.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's your answer right there.
Now, would you dilute your carbon black to match someone's skin tone at any time?
No.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, if you're going to think about it as a painting or just as tattooing or whatever, technically you would never use black to make a color, to make it a darker. So if you want it to look realistic, which in your case you do, black would not be the traditional way to go about it. But then you have to think about, all right, this is going to heal. It's not going to heal black also. So that's something we got to take into account. As far as like making a skin tone, it's always going to be a variation of like an orange and then like a brown, or you add a little blue to cool it down, or a little bit of white to kind of lighten it. As far as getting the stubble going, to make it darker and desaturated from the skin tone, let's say you have your base skin tone of like a pale orangey color. I would add a little brown and then just add a little touch of blue, and that would desaturate it. Yeah, that's what I would do. But then again, like I said, how I would approach that as a painting and a tattoo are very different, just based on how it's going to heal and settle.
Yeah.
Got you. Because we're taught depending on the skin tone. So let's say someone like me, we would say if we're working on a 1-to-1 ratio, right? 1 part pigment, 1 part dilution. We would say we're going to go with 1-to-20 or 1-to-25, which is a gray wash for you guys. But we do that based on the skin tones or the undertones, right? Oh, he's got yellow undertones. You can't go full black because it's gonna either heal blue or green.
No green, yeah.
Right? So like, that's why I asked. Some of those make sense, but then when they start saying, well, you should be throwing in an orange neutralizer so like, you start looking at the color wheel and stuff like that. And it's like, in theory, like that makes sense, but is it really going to make sense right on the skin? Like when you actually apply it, is it going to be effective? Or when they like, you can use the brown. And then when you come to find out, depending on the brown that you use, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes tint of blue or green gets thrown into it to kind of like balance out. So these are some of the things that are like thrown at us, which is why with one of my podcasts, I was like, guys, you need to start associating yourself with some like traditional tattooers, because I think some of the shit that they're telling us sounds good, but you're going to end up ruining someone's head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's on your head right now is just a gray wash, or is there a color added to it?
This is right here is 1 part to 6 part dynamic. And I've also maintained it well too, like I put SPF on it because it's so diluted, you can just, it'll like fade out, but that's pretty much, I didn't allow like, no, don't neutralize shit. Just, this is what I want. Thank you. I appreciate you. Don't put no purples, don't put no browns.
Yeah, that's tough because even there's so many different variations of skin tones.
Right. And it shouldn't be like they one sole graph, right, can't possibly exist, because even if me and you were the same skin tones, that doesn't necessarily mean the way it heals on you is going to heal on me. That's where it gets
a little dicey.
Gets dicey.
Yeah. And that's where, you get the hustlers, which I respect it, right? Entrepreneurs, and they're like, hey man, this is my pigment. It'll never turn blue and it'll never turn green. And it's like, okay, show me the Carfax. Like, how can you make that claim if every individual is totally different? It's going to heal different. Like you can't tell that it's going to heal cool on this person or if it's going to heal green. Like
that, and if you just made it like a couple of months ago, what's your claim for it's not going to turn green 5 years from now?
Yeah, you need to be able to have the studies.
Right. So that too, like, where's the data?
Yeah, you need to have
like show me the 20 people you experimented on 5 years ago and what do they look like now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's rebottled dynamic. Oh, okay, that's fucking illegal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that's what's happening now. So very few are kind of like, I've gotten some emails that are like, yo, bro, come on, bro. Like, don't do that to us.
How's all this moving? Because I feel like, because everything you just said, I see it as such a opportunity for people to exploit it in other countries, for sure. Like As far as like the idea is like, oh, I'm going to take one bottle Dynamic. I'm going to fucking, you know,
but
do a bunch of little bottles. Then I'm going to set up this like, you know, course for one day in a small city and, you know, in another country and be like, I'm going to teach this to people. Yeah. I get like 20 people. I make them all buy the equipment from me and everything like that, dude. And run a grift.
That's literally what's happening right now all over the world. I get invitations, all this, come speak. Like I'm going to Vietnam, like the places that allow me to be an ethical artist. I'm like, yeah, I'm there. I'll co-host, I'll do a demo, but you're going to let me say what I want. Like you're not going to tell me promote this ink XYZ. And that's becoming a little more popular now because now they're a little more accepting of it, especially now when I've been thrown in like, hey, I told you guys, tattooers are going to get a whiff of this. You guys are fucked once a tattooer goes, what? How much you guys are getting for this shit? Just do dots. I don't really got to like worry about sketching. And then the person telling me, no, make this fat. Like, nah, bro, choose the hairline. You want that? Done.
But the other way around too, where guys in your industry are hearing that, wait, this little bottle of Dynamic is costing me $85, but I can get a whole bottle like this for $40. Like what the hell?
Yeah. Right. So now they're kind of like, so what it's creating is there's two industries that is happening right now, right? I don't know if this is, listen, whatever. We say like the brainwashed ones, and those are the ones that are like, well, I use David's pigment because he said that it doesn't migrate, never turns cool, never turns green. I use that, right? Brainwash, right? They're just being influenced by me. Oh, he does a lot of heads. He knows what he's doing. And then they're the ones that are like, bro, let's be serious. Sure. Like that's rebottled Dynamic. We get it. The brands are not as huge where it's affecting anything to these companies, but we know the real. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm going to spend $23. I'm going to buy 8 ounce and I'm going to create my own gray wash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not spending that kind of money on it.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening right now. And then the emails come in where it's like, this is what we're going to offer you. Like, please just like, you know, come on our side, bro. This is good money. And it's like, I don't want that because now I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's good to have some sort of boundaries and ethics to go along with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, I listen to you guys too. So I don't ever want to be a topic of like, look at what this bozo is
going on over here, dude.
This bozo. Like when I met Matt, I saw him and I was like, fuck, this is a perfect opportunity to talk to him because they sent me a clip from you guys and they were like, Dave, at some point, you're going to be like these guys and you're going to be calling out like people or you're going to like bring up a topic that's like, they were like, bro, you're going to like F shit up. And then when I saw, I was like, I got to tell him that. Like, bro, like at some point. Well,
speaking of calling people out, I got a story for the after show.
Okay.
That we'll continue that in a couple of minutes.
Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. David, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you guys for having me on your platform, man. This was pretty dope.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming, sharing all the information. It's pretty cool. I think
we find some dude that's experiencing some hair loss and he wants like a super dope collab with like a traditional tab. Yeah. Finish it off with.
I think I know a guy.
Yeah, right.
I think I know a guy.
Well, hey guys, if you like the podcast, make sure that you like and share this video. It really does help us a lot. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and let us know in the comments if you would. You know, if you're balding already and you would consider this, let us know what you think and share your thoughts about this conversation. And if anything, we'll see you on the Instagram if you're joining us there. And we'll hopefully see you in the after show if you join our Patreon, which you can go through honesttattooer.com.
Yep. Patreon.com/honesttattooer to catch the after show. We're going to talk about some secret stuff. Maybe you got some spicy things you want to share in that also.
Let's do it.
There will be a little story that I kind of developed today that I'll share with all you guys there.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.